Well, what do we have here? We're back in the good old battle station, and welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy daily start to this nice hump day as we move our way through this week, a holiday week, which are typically a little bit on the slower side, let's say, but that statement might come to bite me back in the bunghole there, as Bitcoin on the short-term time frame is actually looking a little bit interesting here, which we did not go over at all from yesterday's video. We did go over the higher-term time frames and a potential, the potential trap criteria, of which it is still the same as long as CME is closing higher-term time frames below about just over 17,000 bucks. I do look at the short-term time frames as well, likely to ebb and flow, but to be looked at as corrective moves first and foremost. So let's jump right on into the charts right off the bat here. And what do you know? Looking at 4-hour BBWP representing volatility, we do look at it as going into contraction phase. And contraction phase within the context of the current trend does imply that this is a corrective move and likely to be a lower high until proven otherwise. So in terms of price action right here, what do we have? Well, we do still have lower highs as far as that is concerned. And on the 4-hour time frame, Bitcoin is actually making massively new highs, or I wouldn't say massively new highs, but higher highs on the 4-hour RSI compared to what we did see earlier. I think this was last week. Yeah, this was about a week ago. When Bitcoin was trading a little bit closer to 17,000 bucks right there. So as long as Bitcoin is below, especially that last lower high, well, this is, still presenting the case for hidden bearish divergence on the 4-hour time frame, not just on the 4-hour time frame, but also on the 6-hour time frame as well. If we can actually load it, there we go. Internet's beautiful. And by the way, yesterday I did miss this. There was some regular bullish divergence, which was propelling that little bounce. But again, we didn't really speak about the lower term time frames yesterday. So I guess not super relevant to the topic at hand. Anyways, and then also on the 12-hour is also going to have the potential for hidden bearish divergence, as 12-hour RSI is making higher highs alongside presumably lower highs on price action as well. So where does this actually get confirmed as a local high, thus a lower high, thus confirming many drives of hidden bearish divergence all the way up to a 12-hour time frame, and very likely propelling the next move to the downside? Well, that would be confirmed, especially with a 4-hour closure below about 16,100 or so. Let me just see what this is. Yeah, about 16,150 or so. This is actually on spot price action. I just thought that this chart actually looks a little bit more interesting for today. If you're using an hourly, then 16,000 even would do the job. One of those two criteria being met would do it for me. That would confirm a local high, thus a lower high, thus confirming hidden bearish divergence, and very likely be getting another move back down around the current low. And well, probably continuation from there as it's going to bleed into the higher term timeframes. But with that said, let's now go cross-reference the stochastic momentum to see if that, is confluential with what we're looking at potentially right here. And keep it in mind, again, until local highs are confirmed, these are just potentials, not full-on confirmations, obviously. And in this case, if we're just looking at the 4-hour time frame, Bitcoin range highs in this case are 17,100 or so. So anything between here and there is, kind of fair game. It doesn't really change anything as far as that goes, is what I'm really trying to say. So let's go and reference the 12-hour time frame stochastic momentum. It is currently pivoted at 16,062. The reason why I'm actually using spot price action right now is because, well, when it's a holiday week, and then two, because there's actually such a big differential between CME and spot price action. There's like almost a $500 discount on CME. So just thought that is probably less relevant to most people right now. But as far as the 12-hour goes, again, pivoted at 16,000, just above 16,000 bucks. So currently Bitcoin, $500 above that, which is obviously good. But if we do start to see local highs confirmed, that's going to come into question there. 6-hour time frame is currently pivoted at 15,750. So again, well below current price action. 4-hour time frame is going to be pivoted at 16,000 as well. So we see that number popping up multiple times here. And by the way, the pivots are actually very similar on CME here too. And then the hourly is also going to be pivoted at, or not actually also, but is going to be pivoted at 16,600. So we do see a bit of bifurcation right there. What does it mean? Short-term timeframes probably do play a little bit of a pullback here. The higher term timeframes continue to range a little, or not the higher term timeframes, but the relatively higher term timeframes, the medium term timeframes that we just looked at, 4, 6, and 12. More than likely continue to range into today. And then if Bitcoin does come back down and violate that very specific area, 16,100 on a closing basis, that's at the point when, well, we do have local highs confirmed and, divergences or momentum also start to take on over. hopefully in confluence for with our volatility indicators over here, namely the BBWP, to kind of give a bias on that. And I just got filled in my order, so that is good. Thank you, sir. And there we go. All right, cool, or maybe not so cool. So now I wanted to once again go over the 2-day time frame signature over here, just because it's important to be following up on these things. Yeah, I know it's boring for a lot of people who have been watching this channel for a long time now, but these signals, they realistically are going to take a long time. I mean, on average, we expect this particular one to take 24 to 25 days. And let me just explain the signal yet again for anyone who might be new here. If you are new here, if there's anyone even new in this fucking market at this point, like I think most people have already run away, and there's probably not too many new people coming in. But yeah. 2-day time frame signature right here. Again, it is a volatility versus stochastic momentum signature. Volatility represented by this moving metric that my cursor is currently tracing versus stochastic momentum right here, which my cursor is currently on right now. And basically, anytime that the volatility component gets down to extreme lows, the expansion phase that follows after that, by definition or by mathematical standards, has led to an average move of about 39.5% over the course of, as we just went over, 24 to 25 days. Again, in average, there's going to be some variance there. And then the stochastic also has been correcting it in the direction of that volatility expansion. And obviously this one worked again about 83% of the time, or 9 out of 11, which is not a whole hell of a lot of iterations, but good. It's the best that we can do for the full history of CME right here, as you can see. Anyways, we've already hit the bottom side of the first standard deviation based off of this signature over here. So that would bring into question that if we are going to see continuation on the higher term timeframes, and this is very much different than the lower term timeframes, obviously, then we probably look somewhere more close to the average move at 39.5%, which, as we've gone over a million times, as I unfortunately kicked my, I'm sorry, computer, I didn't mean to kick you. It's like a bad dog or something. Terrible. Don't kick your fucking dogs, by the way. Bad. Anyways, that would imply somewhere down to like mid to low $13,000. I do want to take a second to kind of discuss a few things that I've been mulling over for potential continuation if this were to happen. And again, keeping in mind that the average days, I should also go over, is 24 to 25 days. We've already seen, we're on day number 19 of this actually now. So this signal is becoming more and more mature. It's not quite at the average. And again, we do expect some variance there, but basically early next week, we're going to be at the average. So you would expect that this, if this is going to have a continuation, it probably happens, in this next 6-day span or so. Just statistically, it's more likely, maybe as much as like 10 days. But somewhere within that would be, I think, most relevant. Anyways, I wanted to take a second to kind of speak a little bit more about, the current feeling within this market, which, again, we went over this yesterday, which is why I was speaking about a potential trap setup, which is this. The sentiment in this market is like doom and despair and like literal fucking gutter, or at least that's how it feels to me. And I'm curious if you feel the same. I mean, whenever I go on Twitter or YouTube, the discussions are not like Bitcoin's putting in a low and going to go to $200,000 now. It's quite literally the opposite. It's more, it's like Bitcoin's definitely going down, and the question is how much. And it's very reminiscent of what we saw at the end of the bull market, basically, where people were, everyone was like super fucking bullish, and myself included, by the way. I mean, kind of wise to be bullish in a bull market, but the question wasn't like, is Bitcoin going to go up? It was, how far up is it going to go? Is it going to go to 100,000? Well, duh. No, it's going to go to 200,000. You're being way too fucking bearish, man. 250,000. No, sir. Did you not know that there's only 21 million fucking Bitcoins? Well, then certainly it has to go to 500,000 or a million or whatever the hell. These were just insane targets, obviously. And it was that exuberant irrationality that we're now starting to witness to the downside. So, whenever you see something like that, human emotions are so fucking consistent in the sense that like they really haven't changed in hundreds of thousands of years. But we oscillate from like euphoria to doom and despair, basically, and we're starting to get to like the opposite but equal other side of that. And it makes me very wary here that, no one's really considering this particular area a low, or even that $13,500 region a low. It seems like most people are really focused on 10 to 12,000 or like 8 to 9,000, something like that. Fair enough. Maybe that does happen, but I'd like to see one thing before the next, obviously. And I do want to just bring that topic of conversation into mind here, because there's going to be bounces along the way, and there could be a potential trap. And if you do start to see Bitcoin close higher term timeframes, again, above that $17,000 pivot or so, let me just go back to it here. You're probably going to see it run quite a fair bit to the upside, maybe close to 18.5 to 19,000 after that, and potentially even 20,000 bucks. That would kind of be, at least in my opinion, relevant. So, do be aware of these sort of dynamics at play, and when things do, when the bottom actually is put in, it probably does bounce off the bottom like pretty significantly at first, and then spend a time going sideways as people still don't figure out that the actual low is in. I'll do my best to kind of do my best on this one. Keep in mind that when we're following this, when we're following this setup over here, we've already hit the bottom side of the first standard deviation. So the only reason why I do say that things could potentially go for more here is simply because we haven't gone at least to the average days on this. So once that occurs, which will be next week, and if Bitcoin really hasn't moved too much from here, that's at the point where things are going to start to look more and more likely that, well, maybe it is putting in at least a major low here, perhaps not a macro low, but a major low. And the next move is to the upside. So, just something to be aware of. Obviously, between now and then, it's just kind of burning time, and risk remains to the downside, obviously. Again, as long as the stochastic momentum pivot is closed below in the 2-day time frame right here, I mean, that is the more likely thing to be happening, statistically speaking. Not to mention the 5-day time frame, which we've gone over many times as well. But, until then, just, be aware of these dynamics at play, because, we saw it to the upside. We've seen it in past cycles. Probably see it to the downside yet again as well. So I think that's a good place we leave off on this particular video. I want to be wishing you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.